Everyone, today I want to cover two fun things that you can do with fonts. I saw a post in one of the groups that I'm in with somebody who was having some trouble getting a font where it was one color top and bottom and another color in the middle. So I'm going to show you how to do that, and I'm also going to show you how to do a knockout. So first thing you do is you just start with your normal blank canvas like always, and then we're going to go click on text. Let's see. Actually, we probably want this one to be all caps. Or not. Try that again. Okay. Now, to do a two-color font, you're probably going to want to pick one that's really bold, that has nice thick lines. So let's go up here to the font picker, and then let's find something that's got a nice chunky, and honestly, it doesn't matter. You can really pick any font you want. I just want to make sure that the one that I use for my example is one where you can actually really see what I've done. And of course, you don't want to pick one that's already a double layer font. Okay, well, let's just pick this one. This one will be fine. Okay, so you start out with your basic font, and we're going to make this one, not that way, I'm not. We're going to make this one taller. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to unlock it. Now, that doesn't work either. I need to change my height. So let's go turn wrap off. There we go. Okay. All right, so now I've got a tall font. That looks kind of stupid, but it's okay. Now we're going to add a shape. We're going to add a square. And then we'll close this window. We're going to do the same thing with that square. We're going to go up here and we're going to unlock it so we can make it whatever size we want. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a strip out of this. So we're going to go, any size you personally want is fine. I'm just going to kind of make it a little strip down the middle. And I'm going to select both of these and I'm going to align them center just to make sure that I'm not off, but you guys could go high or low or however you want it. Now, while I have both of these selected, I'm going to go back over here to my little pencil and I want to slice this. Okay, now what I should have, there's my center. Here's the piece I started with. We're going to delete that. And then there should be an extra piece in the center. We're going to delete that. Okay, so now you have your center. If we put it back and we get it in the exact same spot, it looks like we didn't do anything, right? Well, now we can take this and go up here to our color picker and we can make this a different color. So now when you cut it, obviously you're going to cut it on two different mats because each mat's going to have its own color. But when you cut it out, you'll have two colors to be able to put together. And then we can right click and group this just to keep it together so that we don't lose our pieces. Now remember, when you group on the canvas, that only keeps it here on the canvas. When I go to make it, it's still going to have this broken up into parts. Okay, now let's play with our other option. Let me get this one down out of the bottom. Let's play with a knockout design. Okay, the same thing. We're going to change our text and we want to, this is another one where we probably want something that's going to be big and chunky. And some of our big chunky fonts are in the BFC font family. So I'm going to go there and see if I can find one that I like. I kind of like that boho beach. I'm not sure how that would look. Well, I'll tell you what, let's try it. And I'm going to change the text. And I'm just I'm just using the text to show what I'm doing with it. Okay, now we're going to add another text box. And then we're going to change the font for this one too. We're going to want a cursive font most likely for this. You could use any font you want. I just happen to prefer a cursive font on this one. I'm going to change it to a brush style font up here in the filters just so that it knocks down my choices a little bit. This one will work. Okay, So now we're going to make this a different color just so that we can see what we're doing. We'll just go with pink, okay? And then let's say I want, once again, let's turn the wrap off. Hope it stays off this time. Okay, now we want this to be a little bit bigger. Oops. Oh my gosh. I'm so bad about doing that. Wrap off. And then I want to unlock this. Okay, I kind of like that. And then let's say that I want this I love mom to kind of go through the middle of it. Let's see, we're going to want to scoot this over a little bit because we've got little holes in some of these letters up here. All right, so the I love mom, I think I want to weld that, because if you look closely, you can see where each letter touches the letter next to it. There's actually a cut line. That means when this cuts out, it's going to cut these letters all individually. So I'm going to weld that. And I'm going to go ahead and go do the same thing to my main font, just so I don't have any accidents. Okay, so what you're going to do with the I love mom part is now we need to make an offset. So over here in our tools, we're going to pick offset. Now we don't want a big offset, we want a really small one, so it's just barely visible. Whoop, okay, not quite that small. We'll go with the 0.056, and you can use sharp corners or round corners, it really doesn't matter. All right, now what we want to do without moving anything, we want to go over here. See this layer that says offset? You want to click that. And then if you're on a Mac, you're going to hold your command key. If you're on a Windows computer, you're going to hold your control key. Actually, I think shift works too. And then we're going to go to this one that says weld result. That should be our backward, right? So now we've got two things selected. Now we're going to go over here into our tool panel and we're going to select slice. Now what we want is we want to only keep this layer and our outer back layer that we had originally. And then we're going to take all of this and we're going to get rid of it. Okay, now we can take this and we can put our I love mom in the middle. Well, you can if your hands are steady. Mine are not. Okay, now your I love mom is in the middle and you can actually read it because you've actually knocked out just a tiny little bit of the edge around all of your letters out of your main word. So again, this is the same thing. It's going to cut out on two different mats because it's two different colors. But that's how you can easily do a knockout design and how you can easily do a dual color font. And you could actually do either one of these with an image too. Like if you had, let me see. I won't show you a whole example, but I'll give you an idea. So like this pumpkin, it's all one color and it's mostly one piece. You could do the same thing. You could slice out a chunk of this and then you could put a word in the middle, or you could put anything you want in the middle. And you can do the same thing with pretty much any basic shape. So, you could take a heart or a square or whatever. If you have a mostly solid single color item, you could do this exact same thing. I could take this maple leaf, I could cut the middle out of it and put Canada Day in there or whatever I wanted. But these are the basic tips for doing a knockout design. And then I'm going to show you one more little bonus. We're going to do a single letter, and then I'm going to go up and change the font. Let me go see if I happen to have that font. I do. Okay, now this is a system font. You can use whatever font you want. Okay, we've got this nice big pretty fancy R, right? Okay, now we're going to go back and do like what we did before. We're going to grab a shape, and it's going to be a rectangle. So we've got a square, and we're going to unlock it. Okay, we're going to do that same thing. We're going to make a little row like this. Now you can go down here if you want so that your R is mostly showing. And in the case of what I'm doing, I kind of like it like that. So I think I'm going to keep it low. I'm going to select them both. And then I'm going to go back over to my tools and I'm going to slice. You could also just right click and slice, just so you know. Okay, now we're going to move all of these extra pieces. See now how we have this blank spot? Okay, now We're just going to pick a random name. We also need to change the font. You don't want the same font in the middle. Let's see. Let's get off of the one that's already chosen. Let's say, cursive font would be really pretty. Oh, let's go. All right. Now we've got a fancy font. Now we're going to want to do the same thing. We need to make this a little bit bigger so it kind of fills up our zone. Okay, maybe not that big. And this is the problem with the name I picked because it's got a tail down here from the Y that's going to go down into the bottom. Let me, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to change it to a name that doesn't have a big bottom tail. Here, let's go get rid of all of this stuff. Okay, now you could leave this just like it is with the name in the middle of your initial, or we could go back to shapes. Let's do our rectangle again. Oops, actually, I need 2 of those. Okay, let's move one out of the way. Okay, let's grab our rectangle. We're going to come as close to the edge as we can possibly get. And I'm going to zoom in. You can zoom into your screen by clicking this little plus sign down here at the bottom. Of course, you may have to move stuff after you do that. Let me get rid of this because I don't want it to be in my way. Okay, it looks like I've got a little tiny gap here down at the bottom. Oops. Do I still have a gap? Okay, I no longer see a gap. All right, now I'm going to scoot over here and I'm going to find my other one. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to unlock that. Let's make this a different color so we can see what we're doing. I'm going to go with white. Okay, and what I want to do is I want just a little tiny bit of this black showing through at the top. And I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom. Try to make it as even as you can. You could do this with 2 separate pieces, but I really like to use just one piece because then I don't have to worry about how big it is or if I got it in the middle or... Okay, that looks pretty even. Oh, not quite. Okay, now that looks pretty even. So now we don't want to select our big letter behind, but we shouldn't have a problem if we're careful. We're just going to scoot this little box over to select those 2 things. Nope. All right, we'll go over here in the layers panel and we'll select them over there. There's our 2 pieces. Now this time I'll show you, you can right click and you can slice. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get rid of all of these extra pieces. Okay, now you have a line here and a line here. And we're going to, well, actually, I don't even need to select them all. You could weld this while you have it so that you don't, mess it up. Then you can take your name and put it in the center. And size it however you want. Make it as big or as small as you want. Stretch it out. But that's how you do a split monogram. So now I've showed you how to do a knockout with text, dual colors with text. You could even do this with 3 colors, 4 colors, whatever, using the same pattern. And I've also showed you how to do a split monogram. Make sure when you do your split monogram, unless you're going to do it in more than one color, you select that whole thing and then weld it so that you don't lose. Well, maybe. There we go. Weld it so that your pieces don't move on you when you go to your makeup screen. I hope this helped you out, and happy crafting.